When I come back, I'm worshiping with you.
It's critical. It's critical.
Good.
We're expecting you.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Right. So today we have a very, very important person who qualifies to be part of the most important age group in Nigeria, those between the ages of 18 and 45. And those are the people really that we should be directing a lot of our energy and a lot of our efforts to. And we'll be having a lot more of them on the program and a lot more people of her gender, okay, so that we can have something truly inclusive. Over the last week or so, they've been having the sittings across 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria on the Constitution, rewriting the Constitution and constitutional amendments and things like that. And I hear that, well, challenges here and there, people are not happy with the process, but let's see what comes out of that. Today, we'll be talking about a roadmap to a new Nigeria, especially for people of this generation and background, more inclusiveness for them in the areas of thought and governance. Our speaker today is a lawyer and the Chief Executive Officer of the House of Justice, the principal partner of MIVE, M-I-V-E Legals, Ballason Chambers, and the executive director of the Moluma Medical Legal Center located in Kaduna State, Nigeria. For over 13 years, he has been in law and society column. Can you please mute your mic? Dada, please mute your mic. Good afternoon.
Sorry, sir. I'm driving. I don't know that it has unmuted itself. I'm sorry. Good afternoon, sir.
God bless you. Thank you. Right. So she holds a master's in international affairs, a master's in law, LLM, and a third master's in law enforcement and criminal justice. She is a recipient of several national and international awards, including the Global Crans Montana Award, an award received from the hands of the great Reverend Jesse Jackson and His Excellency Mustafa Sisilo for her civil rights work. She's also a Mandela Washington Fellow. Please welcome with me Gloria Ballason, Gloria Mabeiam Ballason. I hope I got the name right, Gloria.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the privilege of joining this discussion.
Good evening. Where in the world are you speaking from right now?
From Kaduna.
Yeah, speaking from Kaduna. And I was in Kaduna
correct.
a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
Actually,
dear.
area. If I'd known you were there, I would have come to knock on your door.
Very thoughtful.
Maybe next time.
All right, then.
Gloria, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this platform. And we're going to be talking a roadmap to a new Nigeria. And I'm sure that you have all the bells and the whistles, all the strategy and the tactics, and all the ideas that we need to put in place to make sure that we can develop a new Nigeria, a roadmap to a new Nigeria. Let me start by asking you right now, what is your thinking and what is your position on where we are in Nigeria at this time? Where are we in Nigeria as far as you are concerned, and maybe why are we there before we start talking about how to get away from where we are? What's your thinking, Gloria?
I think it's a vital question and a good place to begin, because I do not think there's anyone who ever imagined we would get to a point in our country where our preoccupation will be survival. And before now would have a lot of people give commentaries and talk about, oh, we need to ensure that we do our best so that the country doesn't disintegrate and that people don't go their own way. But it was almost like people saying it just in passing and in order to be able to make cute or punchlines in comments. But now it's becoming real. We see what's happening in the Southeast, the agitations to pull out a new Biafra. We see what's happening in the Southwest, the whole idea of just survival and how there is the Sunday Bobo trying to protect his own people. For us in the Middle Belt, this has always been the story. I think that the Middle Belt is mostly the set of people that have been under the intense pressure of identity and of whether they belong in any place and what their survival means to the rest of the country. Of course, the Northeast has been a melting point for a long while now because of Boko Haram. But the leadership crisis has never been more prominent than it is right now. And a few things indicate that. So first off, if you check the International Terrorism Index, the Global Terrorism Index, it tells you that Nigeria is the third most terrorized country in the world. And it gives you two sets of terrorists, Boko Haram, that ranks as the third terrorist group in the world, and then the Fulani herdsmen terrorists. But in Nigeria, the fifth terrorist group that reflects on the Global Terrorism Index does not reflect in the Nigerian rating of things. What you have are people who are agitating and speaking about how the construction of Nigeria as it now stands doesn't work for them, are the ones who are being criminalized. So if you have people, activists saying, look, we don't like the manner in which we are being treated, we feel like we have been pushed to the fringes, those are the people now who the government looks at as though they were the criminals. And I heard you speak earlier on about the exercise that's going on now. And today I was part of the exercise and I heard all the yearnings that people have, their concerns around the country. And it feels like almost everybody has their own story about what they think is not going on well. But at the root of it and at the very foundation is a country that does not think about justice as the foundation for its survival. And any country that does not think about inclusiveness for everyone stands the risk of disintegration.
Thank you very much, Gloria, for that introductory comment and all that. And your last comment was that every country that does not think about inclusiveness stands a big risk. And you've identified, as it were, three groups of terrorists. One is the Boko Haram, the second is the Fulani herdsmen, and the third, can you redefine the third group you said again so that everybody's on the same page with you?
Oh, well, actually what I said is that the Boko Haram is listed as the third terrorist group in the world. And Fulani herdsmen are listed as the fifth terrorist group in the world. Hello, do you hear me now?
Yeah, I was having a challenge with your connection.
With my connection. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay. So basically, there are two terrorist groups in Nigeria that form the third and the fifth place of the biggest terrorist group in the world. And I was just talking about what that danger portends, but that in the country, they only recognize Boko Haram as the problem, but not the Fulani terrorists, even though the world sees the Fulani terrorists as terrorists. Nigeria doesn't think that they're terrorists under the present government.
So how come the present government doesn't think that the Fulani herdsmen are terrorists?
Well, it rolls us back to even the construction of what everyone now is feeling. At the beginning, they said, oh, it was constructed as a farmer-herder conflict. That was how it was couched. And it looked like there were two people who were contending for something. So the narrative was skewed, because the more you don't understand what the conflict situation is, the more difficult it is to find a solution. And so it was in the middle belt first, and then it moved to other parts. Now the South is feeling the brunt and the East is feeling the brunt. Of course, the Northeast is a bit insulated, dealing with its own peculiar Boko Haram issue. So there is first a refusal by the present administration to see that the rest of Nigerians are suffering from the Fulani herdsmen terrorists. And this is not to label a tribe, because people were quick to say this is about profiling. But you see, this present administration itself has already confessed. For anybody who followed the confession of Kawu Baraje, Alhaji Kawu Baraje, during his 70th birthday, he said that they brought these people from Niger, from the neighboring countries, you know, basically the Sahel countries, to help them with the 2015 elections. So as much as that confession was made, you know, the government itself has refused to accept that they are the ones who have created this monster that the rest of the people are dealing with. So that, for me, seems to be the reason why the government are refusing to accept a monster. You don't, otherwise, what looks to you to be the easiest way out is to pass the buck.
Sorry, Gloria. My name is Sonny. It's like Pastor Itwa. Is he still on the platform?
I'm back. I think we had some technical problem.
Okay. All right. Welcome back, sir.
Only be on standby in case we have technical problems, so that you can keep the conversation going. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry about that, Gloria. I don't know where I left you or you left me, but I'm back now.
Well, I was talking about how because the present government has created the monster, it will be difficult for them to accept that this is their own problem. And so the idea about buck passing seems to be an easy way to move out of the liability of the problem. That's my reading of the situation.
But you made a little bit of a categorical statement here, saying that the present government created the monster. Why did you say that? What points to that from your own perspective?
So that's not me saying it. I earlier on spoke about how Alhaji Kawu Baraje spoke about how they were the ones who imported the present, what we now see as the headsman in 2015 from the Sahel countries, to help them to win the elections. And that information is out in the public domain. So this is not my own work of saying this is what happened. Those of them who are already seeing the dangers of what that decision of theirs is costing the country. Some of them are, if you would like to say, having second thoughts and repenting for the evil that they have brought upon this country, and they are beginning to confess. So I was just quoting Alhaji Kawu Baraje on that. Okay,
that's fine. So did you say there was also another third terrorist group, or did I not? I didn't hear you properly.
No, there are just two.
There's just two.
Yeah, and the Fulani herdsmen terrorists.
Okay.
As captured by the Global Terrorism Index.
Okay, so we are looking today at a roadmap to a new Nigeria, How do you think Nigeria got to this position where it is? It has two terrorist groups that are the third and the fifth. We have an economy that is struggling. We have a political system that is not well defined, and everybody looks generally a little bit happy. And I was listening to the Oni of Ife. I don't know when he recorded that conversation, saying that the government has generally ignored the youth and the young, the real strength of its population, and has not paid them sufficient attention. How did Nigeria get to this position or this point from your own perspective?
In one sentence, by sacrificing merit on the altar of sentiments, primordial sentiments. And something that happened today points to that. So we have a new chief of army staff, and he's from post 37. Between post 35 and 36, you have a whole lot of people who qualify for that position, who are likely going to resign or retire, whatever the word is, because their junior has taken over. And it is at a point where we need all the security assets that we can possibly have to secure our country. But harnessing those assets is not what is happening. Because under this administration, again, they have prioritized other sentiments over national survival. And that is downright dangerous. So if you are thinking about how to financially empower your people, whatever that means, at the detriment of another person's safety, if you're thinking that you need to annihilate a certain region to be able to assert what you think is your own power, then you're not going to be thinking about national unity or national progress or the economy. You will be more preoccupied by all those things that you feel, all those demons that you think you want to fight, than what is required for our collective survival. So that is one thing, the issue of merit that has been sacrificed. The second one is that there isn't any effort at understanding and respecting our national diversity. If you're going to have a north, a south, an east, a west, a middle belt, a south-south, whatever, you know, the dichotomy would be, and you want to bring them under one umbrella, each of those regions have to be able to accept the terms of that unity, of that ability to fuse into one country. One region cannot superintend and superimpose its desires and its own mandate over others. That's not how it works. It's a merger. And so the merger has to be on terms that are acceptable to all the regions that are involved in that merger. And so that hasn't worked quite well under this administration. You see it in the kind of appointments that happen. People from a certain region running over the entire package. So you go to almost every ministry, you would find that it's people from one certain region, or even in the security sector, you find people from a certain. Now, when you have people from just one region under the security sector, how do you get the right information from other regions? How do you get the feedback? Because if people are already prejudiced in a certain way to think about the others as the enemy, then when they have powers, and because the power is unbridled, and again, because they are unable to hear the argument from the other side, they will just continue to use that power against their perceived enemies. So these are the issues, the issue about merit, the issue about not respecting diversity. The third one is that there is a failure to recognize that we are essentially all humans. We have the same instincts. We need food. We need clothing on our backs. We need roofs over our head, basic instincts. So in negotiating the terms, whatever those terms are, leadership needs to think that everyone requires the same thing that they need and that they prioritize. So these are the issues that We don't have the kind of quality of leadership that allows them to see the others as human as they are. And so we're constantly having these conflicts that are needless.
Right, thank you. My connection has gone off, but I'm using another system, so we'll be able to continue our conversation. So you've identified 3 things: sacrifice of merit on the platter of primordial sentiments. Number 2, no effort at understanding our national diversity, and then failure to recognize that we are all humans with basic needs, and some leaders prioritizing their own needs above ours. How did we get here? And what were the rest of us looking at that we all suddenly found ourselves where we are today? What's your opinion on that?
You know, sometimes you would want to say, what were Nigerians doing? Were we all just sitting on the fence and watching things de-escalate? I wouldn't say that, because, you know, events that have happened in recent times tells us that we still have a country and a citizenry that is alive to its responsibilities. Take the NSAS protest as example. Young people who are interested in their country, who come out and say, look, the people who should be protecting us shouldn't be the one brutalizing us. The people who should be protecting us against crime shouldn't be the criminals. And that was not them profiling. Because if you look at the 5 points that the NSAS raised, it also was inclusive of the need to attend to the needs of the police, the welfare of the police. But then the police ended up brutalizing protesters. The government itself did not protect peaceful protesters. So you go again at the second instance, the issue of the Lekki Gate, when they tried to reopen it, and the likes of Mr. Macaroni who went there to protest and what have you, and the manner in which, again, they were brutalized. It's effort by citizens to do what they can to say, no, we need a protest, if you like. So what was the hurry about wanting to reopen the Lekki toll gate when there were other issues? There were people who lost businesses. There were other things to prioritize. There were even police stations that were burnt down. One would have thought that that would be more a priority for the government than going to, open the Lekki toll gate. But it's a country where there is no respect for the citizens. And today, during the exercise, and the exercise ends today, the effort at wanting to review the Constitution, part of the submission that we need at House of Justice is that citizens must be empowered to be able to fire in the manner in which they hire. And here's the reasoning. If citizens went and voted for leaders, then they should be able to vote them out. So that even where the National Assembly are foot dragging on what their responsibilities are, for whatever their political leanings may be or political excuse may be, citizens should be able to go by referendum and recall those who they have voted for who are incompetent. So it is the fact that the Constitution has not provided enough leeway for citizens to articulate their concerns, to recall leaders on the grounds of non-performance or negligence of duty or impunity that we have gotten to this point.
Hello, Pastor, are you there? All right, maybe he has gone off again. Gloria.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay, all right. Again, I say my name is Sunny. From time to time, I co-host the program with him. So we've heard you clearly. We are supposed to be discussing, chatting the way forward for the nation and the effort that is currently being put together by the Senate. I think is a step towards that. We have had various submissions from various centers, people asking for all kinds of things, okay? Ranging from those saying that it is time for us to have state police, more involvement of traditional rulers, evolution of power at state level, local government autonomy, you know, to, Pastor, are you back? All right, so we have had several things from across all the 6 geopolitical zones. In your view and in your own opinion, what are some of the cogent things that you think will likely pass if the Senate goes back to plenary in Abuja from all the things that have been canvassed across the nation?
Don't be carrying that in the way.
I cannot be very optimistic going by the track record of the present administration. I listened to the chairman of the Northwest Zone, who is superintending this exercise, say that they didn't come with any preconceived notions and that Nigerians should give them a chance rather than think that this is going to be business as usual. I hear that, but at the end of the day, the outcome will show if they're more interested in solving the problem or if this will be another exercise. What I do know is that in the past, when there are agitations from different quarters, then people would throw up exercises like this as a distraction measure. We saw that with the national conference that happened in 2014, the lot of effort that went into it. Under the Obasanjo administration, the Oputa panel, the recommendations of which never got to the light of day, we saw that also. So I hope that we're not reinventing the wheel. However, I am glad that Nigerians have gone out to be able to articulate their concerns. I did too, and I can show you that this is what at House of Justice, what we submitted at House of Justice. And let me just run you through a few things that are concerns at our organization. The first thing we submitted on was that there is a need for Chapter 2 to be justiciable, that anything around citizens should be able to enforce it against the government where they fail. The other issue we raised was the qualification for the occupation of the office of the president should be reviewed. Instead of saying that he should, at the minimum, be a school certificate holder, we said he should have either a PhD or the equivalent. Why? We need to elevate the threshold of leadership. We should have our very best leading us, not people who are clueless, who don't know what is happening. We also submitted on the need for the removal of the precedent that Section 143 should be reviewed and be made easy, that citizens by referendum should be able to move in and remove a president or vice president or anybody at all in elective office where they have failed. So if the National Assembly fails to carry out its duty, that citizens via a referendum should be able to remove elected officers, and it should be made easy. We also submitted on Section 145, the issue where a president will leave a country and he will not transmit power to a vice president. And our recommendation is that if such a thing happens, then it should be deemed that the vice president would automatically be an acting president and that power is deemed to have been transmitted. One of the special areas of concern for us at House of Justice that we submitted on was on Section 308, the issue of immunity. And it says, as it stands, it says that elected officers, the president, the vice president, the governor, and the deputy governor are immune from any kind of criminal charges or civil while they are in office. And we have submitted that criminality should have no place at all, is involved in crime, whether you are a sponsor of kidnapping or terrorism or any kind, whether you are a thief or you violate the rights of people, you should have no business being insulated by Section 308. And we also said that where people who have immunity accorded to them step out of that immunity to sue others in their personal capacity, then they should be deemed to have waived their immunity, because the concept of equality under the law should not allow one person with so much powers oppressing others, while those who are the ones in need of protection are left vulnerable to a law that does not protect them. And when you consider that people in power have enough asset to cover up evidence for prosecution after they leave power, after they leave office, especially those to whom Section 308 applies, then we need to be serious about not giving a blanket immunity to what people in leadership do. And by the way, if you are a president, a vice president, a governor, or deputy governor, I should think that you should be providing us clear leadership in character, leadership in learning, and that you should have had track record before even occupying that space. Again, our submission is that anybody who is occupying any office at all must be able to understand and respect the diversity of Nigeria, because you cannot be a leader, a sectional leader in a national sphere. That has turned out to be disastrous for us, because that is where you will have a situation where a sitting judge will go and have a problem with a guard in Banex Plaza in Abuja, for instance, and then label the situation as an attack of Biafra boys against him, just because he wants the rest of the people to look at a certain part of the country as though they are criminals. And that is dangerous. You also see it with the issue that happened with the Chief Justice of Nigeria, how he was removed via ex parte. The law requires that you hear from two sides, but the Chief Justice of Nigeria was removed by this same person who committed an offense. None of those two situations have been fixed yet. So again, if you look at it, you would see that we are either a country with short memory, or we are unwilling or unable to channel our energies to solving the issues that come against us. Because you see, we still have pending issues. The issue of the illegal removal of the Chief Justice Onogen is yet to be resolved. The issue of a sitting code of conduct, a tribunal chairman going to harass an officer is yet to be resolved. The issue of Pantami and his link to terrorism is yet to be resolved. When you come to my state in Kaduna State, you have the issue of a sitting governor who had prior to now been told by the Senate as someone who is unfit, been declared by the Senate as someone who is unfit to occupy public office. But he's here as a governor. And of course, the repercussions are there because he's not fit, with due respect. But we have to just be able to elevate the threshold of leadership at every level, whether it's in the executive, the judiciary, the legislature. We must elevate the standard of leadership, and those who should not be in places of authority should have no business being there. Our best assets should be the ones leading us.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Did your presentation say anything about restructuring and the various assets, the schedules, and what is on Schedule 1, Schedule 2, blah, blah, blah? Did you look into that area at all?
No, we didn't, not because we didn't recognize it. We thought that there are other people who, and we didn't want to present a bulky document, but there has been a lot of conversation around restructuring. And I agree that the terms in which we come together as a country needs to be renegotiated because it's not working for people. But the other part of it is that, again, sometimes we become willfully blind about how to solve a problem immediately and think about a complex way to solve it. So for instance, if it's the issue of terrorism and we have leaders who have told us how they came about it, why are they not being prosecuted? Why do we think it's restructuring that will solve insecurity, for example? So yes, I am all for the need for restructuring and the need for the issues in the schedule, the exclusive legislative list to be reviewed, especially the issue about the state police and all of that, and the separation of powers, clear separation of powers and autonomy for the judiciary and the local government autonomy. I am all for that. But I'm also saying that while we think about the bigger picture, we must also be able to attend to the issues that threaten us, that are the low-hanging fruits that we can deal with. So these issues need to be attended to while we're looking at the bigger issues. For those who need to be prosecuted, they should be prosecuted. For those who shouldn't be in power, they should be out of power. For those who should be leading us, they should be leading us. That's because except we survive at the point where we are, we will not be around to even solve these bigger issues that we're talking about.
Thank you very much. You made some statements, and I might take you up on one or two of them, and so on and so forth. But maybe you can also see if, did you deepen your, you've spoken about the president being a PhD holder or something. What about the ministers? I'm being told that some of the ministers are not qualified to run that, to occupy that office. And you even did mention that you have a governor in Kaduna State that is also what your words were, unfit to occupy public office. Can you expatiate on all that and tell us why you think so? And then what do we do about raising the bar also for other public officials, even aside from the president?
So let me just read the 6th point that we submitted on today. Just verbatim, the criteria for all appointments in public service that requires professionals such as the Office of the Attorney General, Accountant General, Head of the Public Service, Armed Forces, federal and state executive bodies, judiciary should be by competence, merit, and ability to manage the diversity of all citizens. In consideration of our national safety, history and fragility of our nation, ethnic jingoism, religious bigotry, terrorism sympathizers or sponsors must not only be punished, but should absolutely have no place in our leadership circles. That's part of what we submitted at the Constitution review exercise today. And we also said that at every sphere of leadership, we should have our very best leading us. You shouldn't have the worst lead the best. Because what it does is that it triggers bad followership. It also destroys the ability of people to bring out their best. So leadership starts from the head. If a person is leading very well, you will see that the followers will try to benchmark by the quality of the leadership that they receive. So these are the things that are concerning and needs to be addressed. The other aspect I raised about the governor of Kaduna State are not my words, they are what the Senate did. Now, when you check in the public sphere, there is a time, and this was after the governor of Kaduna State was the FCT minister, the Senate, having gone through all the violations of Malam Nasir El-Rufai in the FCT, declared him unfit to occupy any public office. But today he is here, leading a state that has diversity and that has a lot of people, but who are suffering under his leadership. So once we refuse to follow due process and competence, what happens is that citizens will suffer from it. And then we will continue to have a nation that falls apart rather than a nation that builds itself up.
Okay, so if the Senate, or if these things are not being able to be passed, or if they don't get into the Constitution, what can we then do as citizens to enforce our own leadership preferences, whether or not they are passed into law or the other. You know, I don't know if they have these sorts of laws in America and so on and so forth, but the system always seems to, apart from the last 5 years where Donald Trump showed up, the system always seemed to have been able to at least cleanse itself and bring forth a few people of certain levels. What can we as citizens do to ensure that the best actually lead the rest? What do you think?
You know, shortly after the US elections, I was conversing with a professor of political science from the US, and he said that what saved the day for the United States was that they had professionals, and that the military, the security agents were professional, the media was professional, and so at the end of the day, democracy prevailed. Here in Nigeria, our own situation is such that there is a deliberate destruction of the system by those who have the duty of rebuilding the system. And so if these things don't work, what should happen? I think that first of all, citizens should be able to appropriate the powers that we have. And that is the voting power, that there's going to be another election in the next 2 years. It's important that, you know, we have more people get involved in the political process and then vote. Then also, for those who are representing us at the National Assembly, citizens can begin to put pressure on them to act or recall them. So for instance, if citizens put pressure on the representative to act on the issue of insecurity by, for instance, acting on Section 143, and if they fail, what they can do is to begin to try to initiate the process of recalling this representative and insist on it until it happens. I think the problem is, as much as there are all of these bottlenecks, citizens also lease out their powers. And we are yet to come to that point of accepting that we have enormous powers to change things. But we must take every power that we have and put it into action. Because the more we use those powers, the more we acquire more power. It's like weightlifting. The more you lift more weight, the more you build capacity and muscles to take more. So Nigerian citizens should get educated on the things that matter and insist on the right things being done. And then one step after the other, I'm sure we'll get there.
Okay, how do we encourage citizens to do all these things that you have said? What kind of a movement can we have that will ensure that the citizens actually do that which you have identified today?
Pastor Itoa, you're already doing that. Yeah, you know, we can preach all we want to preach in the churches or in the mosques, but the task of building a nation is not a task that God will come down and do. It's a task that he has given citizens to do. And you see it with the Nehemiah example, for instance. And so every platform should be used to empower citizens with the right knowledge for them to understand what they can do with the power that is in their own hands. And again, the National Orientation Agency is one agency that has been ignored, but it has massive power to be able to educate the citizens on what can happen. I remember that when Dr. Dora Akunyili was the Minister of Information, she put in so much effort on rebranding. At the beginning, there was some kind of pushback, but people began to get used to speaking good about the country. And you know, as it is said, when you define a situation as real, it becomes real in its consequence. You speak with an American, there are many things that are flawed in the American system, but there is still a sense of pride of being an American. In Nigeria, we're so battered and bruised that we don't see any sense of pride in our nationhood. So perhaps if we begin to empower ourselves on what we need to do to have that sense of pride, and what we need to do to ensure that when we present our passports at the airports, we're not frisked and checked out, as criminals, then we will now begin to work towards that point of fixing the problem. So education, civic education is important. A sense of history is important. Maximizing platforms like this and the media, both the social media and the traditional media, is important. And the ability of citizens to also move and do what they can and be the right influence in their own little corner is also important. I feel that there is a way that we can all make a decision to be so good that evil loses its power and its hold over this country. And this is something that we can make up our minds to do, such that the rest of the leadership that is bad will be so tormented by the good that is happening that they themselves will be forced to do a U-turn. So impossible is nothing. We must look at every opportunity we have to change things and exploit those opportunities for good.
Thank you very much, Gloria. A roadmap to a new Nigeria. Is a new Nigeria possible? And what is the practical roadmap? What is the practical roadmap to this new Nigeria? And then, Sonny, I'm going to turn it over to you to ask a couple of questions before we start taking questions from the platform. So as soon as she finishes this, I just want you to take her up on one or two issues. So what are the practical steps, my dear, to first of all, is a new Nigeria possible, or is it a figment of our imagination? People are talking about plan B and plan this and plan that, and people are serious. I was somewhere today where a very respectable Nigerian I was with, and he said somebody sent him a text and gave him advice: convert all your money to foreign currency and move your money out. And so and so. And he was really, really perturbed because he's really a die-in-the-wool Nigerian, and now children have gone abroad, they're not coming back. A lot of people are going abroad in droves, just escaping out of this country. We're losing manpower and brain power almost by the second. Is a new Nigeria possible? And if you think it is, what, Gloria, are the practical steps, Gloria, to making a new Nigeria possible? We want practical steps that we can do starting from this platform and starting now.
It sounds like an easy question, but I see how complicated it is. Just because, even those who had so much hope in this country are now throwing in the towel. But I am a die-hard optimist. And one of my persistent saying is that we must continue to give hope a fighting chance, because hope changes everything. If we leave this country, to whom are we going to leave it for? It sounds to me like how the disciples will say to Jesus Christ, to whom shall we go? You have the words of life. And if we leave Nigeria, to where shall we go? To what other country are we going to go? Because any country you go to, you'll still be a second-class citizen. So is a new Nigeria possible? My answer is yes. How do we make that new Nigeria possible? First of all, this leadership as we have it is not working for us. Unfortunately, we have not made the right choice in leadership, or it was foisted on us. And one of the sobering examples was what happened only last week, the death of our Chief of Army Staff. And to think that the president of the country didn't show up at the burial is, to say the least, heartbreaking. Because for the troops who are on the front lines, you can only imagine what that does to their morale. But we must not give up. You see, there are people who are occupying leadership positions who do not care about this country. For those of us who care about this country, we must stay back to tend what it is, what is left of it, until we have a new day. So what are the practical steps? My first thing is we need to put more pressure on the president. Clearly, this president is either he does not care about this country, or to use his words, he's unaware. In both cases and in both instances, there is a need for us to look at what the duties of the president is and to ensure that he carries out those duties. We can go to court for all that is worth to see what we can make out of it, even for having that on the record to say, look, citizens have gone to challenge the incompetence of the leadership, takes us forward and empowers us. The second thing to do is we must not crush every single thing that looks like hope. And I give an example. For those who watched Mr. Macaroni's depiction of what happened to him when the police arrested him, there was one small detail that brought me to tears. A young policewoman who protested against the way Mr. Macaroni and those who were arrested were being brutalized. And she said, but they are also helping us. And what that says to me is that in every dark place, there will be that small candle, that small thing that reminds you of hope, that small seed that may not look like it's going to go somewhere, but is actually an acorn that will give us an oak. And those are the things that we must not ignore. Our people in the armed forces who have refused to give up hope, even when it seems sometimes like they are caught in between the crossfire of a government that does not care about them and terrorists that are coming against them, they're still standing. And for those people, we owe it to them to support them. The people in the judiciary, and sometimes people make blanket statements and say, oh, the judiciary is corrupt. But I am aware that there are people of integrity, men and women, who are working out day in, day out, trying to give us the right judgments. For their sake, we must not give up. In the police force, there are still people of integrity who, as bad as things may seem, are holding the fort. For their sake, we must not give up. So whatever the sector is, and you can name it, there are people there who are doing it right just because they believe that tomorrow is going to get better. What we need is a massive recruitment of those kind of people to form an alliance of citizens who are unbreakable, unmovable, unshakable, and marching forward towards this new Nigeria. Right now, where we are is like a crossroad. Where do we go? Do we turn left? Do we turn right? But we must be able to quiet the noise and the distraction and the pain and the disappointment that we face on a daily basis, to hear that still voice saying to us, this is the way, walk in it, and we must walk in it. And I believe that that road is the road that leads towards hope, is the road that leads us to the new Nigeria that we're talking about. So we must not give up. And for those who stand on the front lines trying to do all they can, the rest of us as citizens, we must bring our own small offering, our small seeds, to support this kind of movement until these movements become crystallized and big enough to defeat the forces of darkness.
Thank you much, Gloria. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to take you up on a few of these things, but I'm going to turn it over to Sonny and Ebi now to take you up on one or two questions. And then those who desire to ask Gloria questions, I see a few hands up already. After Sonny has taken his own couple of questions, I will call you.
All right, Pastor, thank you very much. Sorry, I can't put on my video at the moment because of where I am. Gloria, listening to you was almost like being in a very, very powerful church sermon where the preacher was very, very inspiring. I mean, we must not give up, you see, for the sake of the few good people that are in the various sectors we have across the country. And that's our stand, that's our belief. That's why we are doing what we are doing. We cannot afford to give up on this nation because, like you rightly said, which country are we going to go to? So I'm sure you must have heard the talk about an option B. I mean, if every Nigeria were to activate option B, which country can indeed contain us as a whole? But my question is really, all that you have said we need to do, mobilize and all of that. And Pastor have asked before, is it too late to begin to mobilize for 2023? Should we look at the next election in 2028, maybe? What should the mobilization be like? What should the strategy be like? How should we reach out? How should we organize? And what will be the time horizon that you think we should be looking at?
Thank you, Mr. Nebi. First, 2023 is not too late. Indeed, today is not today is not too late. Today can be the day of salvation, in the sense that we do what we can today because tomorrow is not guaranteed to us. And this is not because this country will be over. This is just because we have one life to live. And nobody would be able to say for sure why he or she was born in Nigeria. But since we're here, we must give it our very best. And, when I say that for the sake of the few, we must not give up, including not giving up on 2023, it's because, you see, if we give up for the sake of the few, what we will be saying is that their sacrifice does not count for anything. And that will be unfair to them. There are people who on a daily basis are risking their lives for this country. The least that we owe them is for us to stand with them and say, morning will come. It looks like the night is long and dreary, but morning will come. For 2023, everyone needs to go get their PVC. And those who are eligible need to take up leadership position. We complain about the worst leading the best. So the best need to step out. And wherever you are, whether you are in you are a doctor or you are a lawyer, even in those associations, we need the right people to lead the pack. If they are holding an association election, do not sit back and watch the worst person take over. That's how we disintegrate systems in bits and pieces until we wake up one day and it's the whole system that has been neutralized. So for 2023, it's not too late. Let's get our PVCs and go out there and vote and protect our votes and ensure that the right people are voted into power. And in the party system, again, I go back to our submission today at the Constitution Review exercise. We submitted that parties must not allow their own sentiments superintend citizen sentiments, that parties should be able to throw up only the best as candidates for citizens to vote for. And where they do not do this, it is the duty of INEC to disqualify them. So we need an INEC that is truly independent, an INEC that will provide for us candidates that are indeed candidates. Let us not be in a position where we are only choosing a lesser devil, whatever that means, because it is this kind of thing that has led us to where we are. So it's not too late. Let's continue to do what we can beginning from now. And the more we do it, each victory enables us to win the next victory.
Thank you very much. Just one more question before I allow Pastor to take over, and if there are any other questions on the platform. You have talked about INEC, and I just want to get your views on how do we get INEC to do what they are supposed to do. This is May 2020 already, and we are yet to open the registration portal for those that haven't got their PVC yet to get. We'll wait till the very last minute. Everybody is rushing, and it's almost like we can't get those PVC. What should we be saying to INEC? What should we be doing now to put INEC under pressure so that they can start and continue the registration even throughout till the election in 2023?
Simple, sue INEC.
Sue them.
Yes, sue INEC. Look, we must get to a point where we do everything that we can, everything legitimate. You're not doing your job, we sue you. Yes. Because we need to get these things done. And then also, there is a need for citizens to use the social media effectively. The conversation must move from being a gentle whisper into a roar. Who are those who have not received their PVCs? Who should by now have their PVCs? Let that conversation happen on social media. So once we elevate the whispers into roars on the issues that matter, then we will have the agencies responding faster, because they themselves, they don't want to lose credibility. They don't want to lose face before the public. So it's because we are not speaking loudly enough about the things that matter that we are having some of these problems that we are having. And we can reverse it.
All right. Thank you very much, Gloria. So thank God you're a lawyer. So you are going to sue INEC free of charge for me. So start preparing the brief. Free of charge, oh. Don't send me any bill, because this is a work of sacrifice. I'm happy you are smiling. So start preparing the brief. You know, one of the things I learned in politics when I moved with some of my politician friends was that they have a case for every situation. They've already prepared it, even before they go into the election. They've also prepared the funny men and strange people who are going to start to sue cases. So if the election is going somewhere, there's a case. If it's going this way, there's a case prepared. If it's going this way, there's a case prepared. So, Gloria, begin to prepare your cases against INEC so that if they go any which way, we really must get to a situation, really, to be honest, where we sit on top of INEC and we make sure that INEC does what INEC is supposed to do. That will solve about 20% of at least the process and the policy problems in Nigeria. The other thing you said is having a group or a collection of good people. As simple as it sounds, I can tell you almost free of charge that good people, sincerely good people in Nigeria are not too many, especially in country. A few of them have escaped because this system choked them out. They couldn't survive, so they were good and they couldn't survive, so they got choked out. And a few are dependent a little bit on government, and therefore they're not ready to rise and say what they need to say because government is very strong. They come against you with everything they have. But nonetheless, we're not going to give up. So if you know of any good people and sincere people, good, sincere people, sacrificial people that we can work with, please let us know so we can see how to reach out to them and begin to work with them and have everybody begin to do what they are supposed to do and stop being conversationalists only and innocent bystanders and thinking somebody else will fix the problem. And that's part of our problem in Nigeria, thinking somebody else will fix the problem. Let them do, let them do, let them do. The question on this platform is, what are you going to do? Who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to encourage to go into office? You yourself, volunteer yourself to go into office or go into one of these political parties. Because by the time they give you their candidates, it's too late. You know, they've given you you are hoping they will bring out the best. But that's not in their own interest to bring out the best. Their own interest is to take our national resource, and the best man won't let them take the national resource, so they won't bring out the best. It's as simple as that, because their interest is not the interest of the generality of Nigerians. And that's what we've been going through. But each one of us can do something to push this process along. And that's what I want to inspire a lot of people on this platform to do, to begin to think of what they can do in their own sphere of influence to turn things around. Having said
sorry,
that,
Pastor, sorry, just so that, you know, I don't lose this trend of thought.
Go ahead.
So let me put this in context, and I think this will be relatable. You know, when we say that there are not enough good men, I think about the story of Elijah and how he thought he was the only one left, and Obadiah said, you know, he had hidden this number of people, and you know, the God of Elijah himself said, "Oh, there are 3,000 men who I have hidden." There will always be a remnant. No matter how bad things are, there will always be a remnant. And I have met people who are so obstinate about their belief in this country and who will not give up. The other part that I think is an indictment on those who think that they are good is that how do we allow the forces of evil to defeat the force of good? If you keep evil and good, I thought that the force of good should overcome the force of evil. At what point did we elevate the power of evil to be so strong that it, even without trying, destroys the power of good? So this is one thing that we must continue to think about, taking every chance that is available. Those who do evil, they don't think about failure when they set out. They think that they are going to prosper. Even if it is a 1% chance, they will exploit that 1% chance and ensure that the 99% chance of failure in evil is defeated. And this is how we must be thinking. What are the chances that are left? How do we exploit what is left of that chance and continue to expatiate on what is left until we are able to gather enough momentum and muscle to overcome the evil that is against us? This is how we must be thinking, because the victory will begin from our thought process. If we think we can win, then we will win. But if we constantly walk from defeat, then we cannot walk from defeat to victory. It will never happen. So we need to change our mindset and our belief system and believe that impossible is nothing.
That's very encouraging, very inspiring, Gloria. So I'm going to take you up on that, and I'm going to be asking you to please let us have your list of people or collection of people that we seriously can work with and begin to gather some fires. The 3,000 prophets that are hiding, if they were so good, I don't know why they were hiding, but now we're going to bring them out and encourage them to stop hiding. But let me go quickly to the questions. There are 4 that I want to take right now. And then after that, we take another set, and then we begin to wind down. Mr. Anthony Ugebo will ask his question. There's somebody here called Christy Con. I don't know who that person is. You'll ask your question. Ola Grace would ask her question. And my auntie, Professor Mrs. Nika Grange, will also ask a question. So you take those 4 questions, sharp, quick, and then we will go from there. Mr. Ugebo, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity. To Sister Gloria, well spoken. Can you tell us, if to the extent you know, the true situation in Kaduna regarding Southern Kaduna and their plight? You know, what is the situation with respect to their land, whether the persecution, what is the situation? Is there an agenda going on? Are they getting displaced? Are they going to IDP camps and so on and so forth, like we have in Benue? What's the situation with that?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ogebe. Let's go to Christy Con. Please note that question. Gloria, the true situation in Southern Kaduna. Christicon, unmute yourself, ask your question.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mrs. Gloria. My name is Ogudana Adekole. Like Mr. Sonny said, I think your session was quite inspiring and it's kind of a wake-up call. But one thing that has been bothering me, Pastor Ichwaya at the beginning of this seminar or session kind of said something that the focus should be on between the people between the ages of 18 and 45, which is quite understandable. But if you say that kind of that age gap or that age group, one of the things that I've come to notice about that age group people is that they've almost lost interest in anything that has to do with nation building. You understand? So how can I perceive it has to do with a massive national orientation? But in a situation where people are just on a survival mode, kind of, what can we do practically? I mean, to change the mindset of people within that age group to begin to think nation building, nationhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is noted. Gloria. Ola Grace, please.
Good afternoon, sirs and Mars. I just want to, I'm trying to streamline the question into, it's both a question and an observation. Now, we use the United States example, and one of the things that I can mention with America, which I observed from the point of view of being a lawyer and of course a Nigerian, that made the difference with the chaos that would have been created, in January 6th, was the fact that the Constitution, the system of America as a whole, the checks and balances are within the system, not domiciled in people. The Nigerian Constitution, on the other hand, you have like this omnibus character that is created in the person of the president. Madam mentioned a lot about National Orientation Agency, INEC, and all these organizations that are by and large subject to the dictates of the president. Even if you get the best person into the offices, and even if you get the best person into the offices and the system does not support them to work in the way that they need to work, then it always feels like it has continued to do. So what we can borrow from America is the fact that America created a system that even, yes, with the madness of the 4 years, it was able to check the tyranny that was, beginning to build up in the Donald Trump administration. We don't have that kind of a constitution in Nigeria. So if we talk about a roadmap is possible when the foundation allows for that roadmap to work. As we speak now, we are talking about a system that has been sabotaged by, people who don't want it to work, like Pastor Itua already pointed out. People who on a day-to-day basis, constantly are in that place where they don't want Nigeria to work. So I would think that for Madam's suggestion, is there a way we can have a think tank of some of the wonderful people that will be identified who will be able to work? Because the people we are also dealing with, we forget that many of them have they have think tanks, strategies that are constantly, looking into the system and looking how to sabotage the system. Individually, I don't know if we're going to be able to, do a lot. But if we come together, we have a think tank, we come up with very clear strategies, we unify our purposes. As we talk right now, we are having about 90 political parties in Nigeria. So that's like, it's 9 parties want to bring down, the behemoth that we have created in the APC. And we all know that that's not going to work. So these are some of the questions or puzzles that I think Madam might still help us to look into. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gloria. I'm sure you got most of that. In between, somebody has said to me that I'm talking a little bit above the heads of people. I should break it down to what the common man on the streets can understand. We will try to do that. And Gloria, I'll be begging you to help me to break this conversation down to what common people can understand. Auntie Nike, your question, please.
Thank you, my pastor. My own contribution has to do with information and communication, which, Pastor, you have been working at diligently, because this weekly thing that you started is giving us so much information, but how to communicate it is a problem. Number one, empowering the people. The people that we want to empower, it has to be everybody, including grassroots who have not even been to school. They have to be empowered. And therefore, we must look for a language, how to communicate with them in their own language, using their own system, whatever, which means that we have to find out how to do that. The second thing is that even when you have this critical group of good people, the tendency is for some to become less good because of certain forces. So there has to be a system of peer review. I want to liken this to the kind of peer review that is done in universities, where everything is transparent. Your papers are reviewed, etc. So there has to be peer review. A lot of what is happening at the leadership level is not transparent, and therefore it is not reviewed. So, Madam, please, I want your comments on that. The last thing is the role of the media. The media, not only I don't know, somehow we seem not to have the participation of media anymore. Probably they have financial constraints or whatever, but we have to find out, because their role is very, very important. We saw that in America. It was the media that helped the good people to speak out loud and to overcome the voices of the bad people. So, Madam, please talk about that, my sister. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Ma. Auntie Nika used to be former Minister of Health, so she's talking from experiential involvement, even in government. So, Gloria, please respond to all four. I think you still can remember those questions or those comments.
Okay, so let me quickly respond to that. I begin first from Auntie Nike Grange, to thank you for the work you have done for our country, because that's why we're here. And you spoke about the media being absent, and I would agree with you. I think it was Christine Amanpour that spoke about how people always argue that the media needs to be neutral. And she said, no, I do not accept. I think that the work of the media is to present the truth, and that she's never been neutral. And for the media right now, there is a blackout on a lot of the issues that matter. So for instance, what's happening to the funding on security, and why are we not having commensurate security to our spends in that sector? What's happening to our economy? What's happening to stories? Are they following through stories and giving us the conclusion? We're not having a lot of that. So yes, the media needs to get involved. And there's also a need for peer review, as you said it. Then on the issue of information and communication, somebody had mentioned that, Pastor Itua is speaking over the heads of people. Well, if we need to translate what we have to say in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Igbo, in Efik, whatever we need to do, I think we need to do it. But whatever people have now, can they begin to work with the truths that they have now? And let's see where that gets us to. I think that will be important. Ola Grace asked about the checks and balance, and she was the one who spoke about the US. And I saw that there's somebody with the initial BA who kept objecting, why are we mentioning US? I don't believe that the United States is fantastic. I don't believe so. But we saw something that was magical, how for 4 years, their system was put under tremendous pressure by the Trump administration, and it survived the system, which means it survived the pressure. To quote the present president, he said democracy prevailed, which means that democracy had to struggle. And I think that people are making the comparison with US because it is the home of democracy, and we are practicing democracy. And the issue with the situation, I don't want to use US so I don't upset you again, BA, but the point really is this, that in many countries, a lot of people are more invested in the system and in the nation rather than they are to people. In Nigeria, the reverse is the case. When somebody gives you an appointment, you feel more invested in that person than the system. Very few people make that clear distinction, and we must respect those people who make it. So for everyone who is there, people who are serving in the public sector, you must understand that if we don't have a country, those appointments will not even be them that will survive the shocks that come against it. Then Christy Oguntana spoke about how those within the age bracket 18 to 45 have almost lost interest in nationhood. I thought so until, again, the EndSARS protests. You see, what was beautiful about that protest is that there were people, young people who were doing well. So it wasn't a case of we are hungry, so we hit the street. It wasn't we slum kids anymore. It was people who, they are in the comfort of the work that they're doing, but they too could see that beyond their own personal comfort, the country was not working for the rest of the people. And if we had good leadership, that was a teachable moment to see how there was transparency, how there was unity in that campaign, how there was empathy, how there was ability to articulate the issues. That would have been a teachable moment. But again, they turned out to criminalize people who went out undecent. I hope again that we learn from that incident and move forward. Then Mr. Antoni asked about the Southern Kaduna situation. There will probably not be enough words to explain the kind of atrocities that are happening in Southern Kaduna. No words at all. I cannot pretend that I can tell you everything that is happening within the short span. But if you have heard that genocide is happening there, I don't doubt it. If you have heard that there is land grabbing, I don't doubt it. I have seen children killed in their numbers, poured in a mass grave. I have seen, not that I was told. I have represented many innocent people whose only crime was to object the killing of their relatives. That's like a daily occurrence for me, and you can check that on the internet. So every form of injustice, I have seen it there. And sadly, it's not something that has abated even now. People are being killed on a daily basis. And so it's a sad situation, but it's also the situation for minorities in most parts of the North. Christian minorities in parts of the North who are suffering this thing. And then when you go to areas like Zamfara, you also have a situation where they are suffering from bandits, not so much with the same situation as what you have in Southern Kaduna. So it's a very sobering situation in Southern Kaduna, very pathetic. And, sadly, the government has not found the right response to it. But of course, it has not found the right response to the injustice that is happening in the Southeast or in the Southwest, and it's sad.
Thank you very much, Gloria. We're going to take another set of 4 questions or comments very, very quickly, and then we begin to round up so that we don't tire the people out. So Mr. Polycarp Baja, Mr. Samuel Dada, excuse me, Oluwatosi, and my brother Afolabi Ajidaun have some comments or some questions. We'll take them in that order. Polycarp, you had your hands up, but I think your hands are down now. Maybe you've changed your mind. Sorry?
No, I thought you didn't have time to take that. So that was it. Thank you very much, Pastor Godado. It's been wonderful to Gloria, who is like a daughter to me, and that we fought up together with her. I just want to make a contribution because we've been working on this for quite a few years up here in the north. Nigerians have to arrive at the point where they say it is enough. Because until we get that position, we'll continue to make excuses. We will be feeling frustrated because we will never have really made up that the mess that we see in this country needs to be stopped. It really has to get to that point because when we take the position, whatever possibilities there are, we will take them because at that point, we know that there is nothing more to lose and we have lost too much right now. As I speak today, the day before yesterday, the kidnappings came into Kubwa. That is inside the SE. Of yesterday, there were gunmen shooting in. No, we are talking about preserving our life. We don't have the luxury of just talking anymore. We need to say it is enough. If we say it is enough, the next question is, how do we stop it? We will look for whatever is possible. You know, discouragement and so forth, we have to mind that this is a life and death issue. When we have accepted that, and Nigerians have the power, I know that. Just like a woman who has given birth, she's not a doctor, but she can look for a doctor when her child is sick. And even if she doesn't have money, there are ways in which she will appeal. And if that child gets the treatment, that child must not die. This is what we need to come to. There are leaders in this country that can articulate a better future for us. Israel was growing under slavery, but there was a particular kind of growing before God. God had to talk to Moses. I have heard the groanings of Israel. It's not the life, it's the one that is resolute. But we're not going to have our country put under this kind of bondage, this kind of oppression, and people are killed day in, day out, and just kind of keep making excuses as to why and why not. No. Let us do that. And the leaders amongst us will articulate in very clear terms. Somebody said to me when we were talking about this in my platform, they said, let's make it so simple that even the drunk in the beer parlor will not mistake what you are saying. Let's simplify the dream for us. Number one, every Nigerian knows right now and is agreed that there is insecurity in the land that has gone beyond anything that is acceptable. Let's start from there and say we are going to stop insecurity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Polycarp. Unfortunately, your connection is a bit weak, so we're struggling to actually hear what you're saying. But I think Gloria got the gist of what it is, and she will respond appropriately or rehash what it was. Thank you very much for those very insightful words, and especially your focus on seeing how we can check insecurity and so on and so forth. Can I please have Mr. Samuel Dada?
Yeah,
Samuel Dada.
thank you, sir.
Please go straight to the point.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. My question is, I know Madam went to public hearing in Kaduna today. Did anyone push for the 1963 Constitution that promotes the regional system? Because I remember that the regional system in 1963 that led Awolowo to the ordeal that happened there. Because I have reason for asking this question. Because Nigeria is having the problem of identity. Because if we have a regional system, every indigenous in their land will be able to use their resources to nurture their children, because in Europe, where we live, they make the woman, the mothers, responsible to take care of their children, especially when it comes to language. Because I can see that the problem Indians are having, so people believe, so people are well educated, some are not well educated. Now they can't allow them to rule. And these people are thinking that this is a discrimination in a land because of the language barrier. If everybody go back to the regional system, where every indigene in their soil, where they were being born, will be able to speak in the language they understand, they'll be able to develop in any manner in that land. So if there's any move in your own area in Kaduna today, in the public area, if anybody has made any move to go back to 1963 Constitution, which I think is the best option for Nigeria now, to ask the National Assembly and every political stalwart in Nigeria to come to the round table and make a long-lasting solution to the problems we are facing. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I think what you're trying to say is two questions. Did anyone make that presentation? And then you are advocating for that position also. Oluwatosin, please.
Thank you, Pastor. My name is Tosin Dokwesi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my sister. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, sir.
How's my brother?
He's fine, thank you. Madam Gloria, I'm glad you talked about the issue of NSAS. And I've been looking at it. We had the good, we had the bad, and the ugly. We had fantastic young guys who came out and did something beautiful. Is it possible we still look for some of these guys, and some of this discussion we're having, we get them involved and see how we can get some of them interested in moving this company forward? And the bad side, which was really bad, what do we do? Because these are the ones that we would talk to go out there and cast their votes. Are they really going to vote for any graduate, any young person out there who is not giving them any money to vote for them? How do we reorientate these people? Because they are the ones who will go out to vote. Professor talked about, I'm sure she's a good professor, about the media. The print media can write, anything they can write, but the electronic media, we're being watched by, of course, we have the National Broadcasting Commission. You have a guest who comes on air, tells you the truth about what is happening in the country, and then you get a fine that somebody spoke against the president or somebody insulted the minister. That's where we are. We still bring them. We'll keep bringing them. I love this program. I wish it's something we could have a package afterwards and get to transmit for people to watch and see that, look, there are people out there trying to see how we can get a better Nigeria. Thank you.
Well, my sister Tosin, I'm very happy you said that. We're going to work out a package and hope that you'll be willing to transmit it all over the world for us. So
Yep.
Maybe you and I will talk later and see how we can arrange that.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Afolabi, please.
Pass.
How you do? You've gone off. Okay. While we're waiting for him, Gloria, can you respond to this comments and questions very quickly? We are beginning to run out of time.
Yeah, sure. So, Reverend Polycarp Baja, thank you for joining the discussion. Yes, I agree with you that citizens have the power, and we must activate. We must not only activate that power.
Well, I'll be just saying the hold. We'll come back to you if you don't mind. She's answering the questions. I'll take you and one more person and we'll close. Please go ahead, my sister.
Yeah, sure. So citizens must not only activate that power, but they must sustain that power, sustain it until we have results. Then Samuel Dada, yes, there were a lot of people who advocated for return to the 1963 constitution and the regional system, including myself, even though it was not part of what we submitted on. But yes, we worked with some other groups who made that submission. And I think that the lesson to learn from that is that if you have a system that is working, don't change it. And that should apply to businesses too. You don't change your winning team. And that's what we see, because with the regional system, power devolves to the regions, and then people did not have to struggle with the issue of resource allocation and resource sharing and what have you. The regions used what they have to build their own region. So yes, I agree with you. To Mrs. Tosin Dokwesi, yes, I think it's a brilliant submission that you have made. How do we use the good side of NSAS and discountenance and throw away the bad side? First, let me say, for everyone who got involved in the NSAS protests, nobody lost. Young people won, because they made a clear statement of what can happen when young people come out and take ownership of their country. So we must ride on that tempo and insist on it in the next election, which means also we must not willfully forget what happened in the course of the protest and what the demands were, including how it transitioned from just seeking good policing to good governance. We must keep that tempo and make it reflect in the 2023 elections. So the bad part that didn't work, we forget about it. For those who are victims of injustice, we continue to work towards getting justice for them. Unfortunately, there are people who left and are on asylum now. We let them rest for a while. It's like when you have players and they have played and they're tired and they sit on the sidelines, you allow them rest before they get back to the game. But it's not over yet until we are able to get the victory that we want. So let's continue to use our voices as a force for good. No matter how small you think your voice is, just amplify it, because without that voice, there'll be something that will be missing. So keep your voice out, and let's together form a choir, a loud choir that will overcome the force of evil.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll take two more questions. I like to think Falabi is ready. Falabi. Okay, go ahead, please.
Good evening, PI. Good evening, everybody. Gloria, thank you very much. First of all, Pastor, earlier on, you had said that you were with somebody who was advised, got a text that he should change his Naira to FX. I got the same text, and I'll just quickly say, last year, if you transferred $3,000 to Naira, you'd have got about 1.2 million Naira. This year, well, you'd have just got under 300, yeah. And then this year, if you transferred the Naira back, even with interest, you'd have not got your $3,000 back. You'd have lost money. So is the current situation of our economy is getting worse and worse. You want to mobilize people, you want to educate people. First thing people are thinking about is putting food on the table for themselves and for their families. So how do you now reorientate them and their thinking? You can't, because it's about survival. And Gloria, my question to you is, you're talking about, there was a question about INEC not behaving or doing the right thing. And you said it's simple, sue them. You sue them, you get court ruling and court judgment. We have an administration right now, we're under an administration right now that is notorious for disobeying court rulings that go against them. What do you think will happen with INEC if you go and sue them and you take them to court and you win? Nothing will happen, because INEC, the chairman of INEC, is appointed by Mr. President. INEC is under the presidency. And with this current administration, they don't listen to anybody. They just do what they want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Falabi. Thank you. I can see I don't know how to describe it, a bit of a pay. And the Bob Marley, I can see the pain in your voice, and I know why, but it's going to be all right. Ime, please ask the last question as we begin to sign off.
All right.
Make it straight to the point, Ime, please.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Gloria. I'm just looking at the area of advocacy that you talk about, which I'm concerned because this group is doing so much internally, but external-wise, not much has been done. I will suggest, it's a form of suggestion, that from where we are now, we begin to reach out to especially those group of the NSAS people. I think we have some meeting this week that we say, look, we're going to talk to the people in the entertainment industry, that they have a very strong influence that can pull the crowd and then bring their disciples or their followers into this platform, because people are always looking for people that will lead them. And once you lead people right, especially in Nigeria, others will follow. I had the privilege to meet with the DG of National Orientation Agency. Unfortunately, there's something they told me, which I'm privileged being in the media. In fact, it's an intentional act to cripple that sector, not to make it effective, so that they could do what they want to do. And it was so pathetic. And I told the DG that posterity will not judge you right. They only remember that you are not being effective. But I must commend you, Madam Gloria. I must commend the group. I want to thank everybody for this and Pastor for his leadership. But I think now the media will take it from where they are now to the next phase. We have to be heard, not just on the social media. We must be seen that we are doing the talk and doing the work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ime. Please, Gloria, respond to those questions and we will close.
Thank you very much, Mr. Afolabi. You spoke about the present administration not obeying court orders, and everyone said they have even turned court judgments to do That's true, but you see, tyranny and tyrants are not forever. Injustice is also not forever. Even if it is to gather the judgment until such a time that we have the right leadership to enforce it, we should do that. The good news, though, is that if the court system and the judicial system was completely destroyed, then the court itself, the doors of the courts itself would not be open. So that we have the court still open, it means that there are still some gains there. So let's exploit the gains that we have. Mr. Ime Ufot, you spoke about advocacy. Yes, let's keep the advocacy going. And for those who were involved in the NSAS protest, take the rest that you need, but we're still going back to the field this time around with our PVCs and all that is required to have the right governance that we are demanding for. So we must not get tired. I think that also should remind us of the need to get involved, fully involved in the system. It's a country that has the highest percentage of people in the youth bracket, more than 60%, which means that we should be leading the pack and not sitting on the sidelines. So I hope we can step out. Professor Adenike Grant spoke about how with a regional constitution, you will have a regional INEC. Yes, and that would reduce the pressure that perhaps the INEC is facing from the politicians, because the regions now will own the system and will try to ensure credibility. So it's not all gloom and doom. Things are going to get better.
Thank you very much, Gloria. I'm going to let you go now. Next week, we are going to be having the making of Nigeria from jihad, the making of Nigeria from jihad to amalgamation. the making of Nigeria from jihad to amalgamation. I think we're going to be going deep into the roots of what has become Nigeria today. Making of Nigeria before Nigeria was Nigeria, and making of Nigeria as Nigeria is today. We're going to be having a gentleman who has written copiously and researched copiously on this subject matter, and is almost, well, I don't know if I can call him an authority, but he seems to have done quite a lot of work on it. His name is Feyi Fawehimi, and I think I've come across one or two of his publications before. I think it's a must listen to. It's a must listen to. So please try and invite as many people as possible to this platform, and it will really inform and educate a lot of us as to why Nigeria is what it is. And it will probably give you a better perspective as to what you need to do as an individual to try and reverse or make Nigeria better. We really must try our best, both those who are in Nigeria and those who are in the diaspora, to give Nigeria a fighting chance. I was speaking to a Chinese man earlier on today, came to have a meeting with me, and he almost was throwing his hands up in the air. He says in China, they import petroleum so that they can drive their industries. So he says everything rises and falls on petroleum gas and then coal, that you can make everything out of these three items. Okay, gas, the easiest, then petrol, then oil, then coal. He says in China, they import these things, and they have made China the manufacturing hub of the world. He says it's so ironic that in Nigeria, we have these things and we don't use them. We have them, but we don't use them. They import and they transform. We have and we don't use. And even the oil that we use, we export it as it is, and we don't transform it. And the gas, we flare it. The coal, we've forgotten about it since 1955 or since 1965. And it's there in the soil, wasting and begging for attention, but we don't have attention to give to it. And the same thing with bitumen. He says, yes, it's okay to build roads, it's okay to build bridges. He says that's basic economics. He says that's not where economics and nations are developed. He says nations are developed on industrialization and productivity. He says you can build as many roads as you want, you can't transform to a great economy. That's putting it in a nutshell. And he's only been in Nigeria 3 months. Anyway, my question for you, Gloria, is this. Number one, are you going to run for office? We want Gloria. We want Gloria. We want Gloria. Yeah? Step up and run for office. And then number two, if you were president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, what would you do?
Am I going to run for office? I can't say yes or no. At the moment, I am invested in providing legal services for a lot of people and trying to do what we can with the injustice that is happening in Southern Kaduna and other parts of the country, the Southeast inclusive. If I were the president, the first thing is I would recognize the diversity of the people and just give people what is their due. Secondly, the issue would be to have the best assets on the front lines and in the right places. Because to fix this country, we need people who believe in this country and who have all that it takes to fix it. So I would put the right people there. And I hope that we continue really this conversation around reminding ourselves about the pain of others, and which is why I felt it was very heartwarming for me, for the person who asked about Southern Kaduna and another person who said, oh, the situation there has gone on too long. Yes, but you see, we can sit in our comfort zones and forget that there are people in the Southeast who are being killed just because of their identity. And there are people in Southern Kaduna, there are people in Zamfara who are suffering, and there are students who went to school and were kidnapped. So we must move beyond ourselves and continue to think about the pain of others. And by reaching out to help others, it comes back to us.
It's a wrap. Thank you very much, Gloria. See you in Aso Rock at some stage, whether you like it or not. And I'm sure all the ladies on this platform will vote for you, starting from Antinike. So already you have a few votes. Uncle Ephraim, you want to say something quickly? Okay, let me allow you. Unmute yourself and you just give the closing shot.
Yeah, just a simple question, but it's not as simple. In fact, I must give kudos to the lady. She's done a wonderful job. Amongst everybody you brought so far on this forum, she's been the best we have. So kudos, madam. But the question I want to ask, which is bothering us, diehard Nigerians, I'm a diehard Nigerian, is that politics is a game of numbers. Now, we have porous borders in the north. And you know what happened to during the last election? They brought in children from Senegal, from Chad, from everywhere, all the Fulani coming to there, and they were all voting. So what are we going to do? Because they will outvote all of us. No matter what we do, they will outvote us. So what do we do in that case? That's a simple. That's my question.
Reduce the number of people voting.
What can we do, Gloria?
Gloria, that question is for you from your greatest fan. So you must give him a good answer so he doesn't change his mind about you.
No, it's fine. Even if he changes his mind, I'm sure I have still earned lunch. But you see, we will do what, it's like when you have a team, you don't have the numbers, but you have strategy. You use the strategy to defeat the numbers. And that is it. We must think outside the box what we can do. The option of advocacy is very important. We must not turn down those options that are available to us. So we cannot just assume that because they brought in these people, we are already defeated. No, we must use what we have and believe that we are going to win. Because if we believe we're going to win, we will invest everything that we have to win. And I must quickly just thank my elder sister, Gladys Calvin, and Deborah Usman. Thank you, I saw that. And thank you to everyone too for the kind words. And I should thank you, Pastor Itua, for the opportunity and for giving me this platform. It's really a privilege to engage in the discussion and to share my own version of hope. And I hope that people have already begun to think towards, what can happen if we don't give up.
Thank you very much, Gloria. You've done a very, very good job. And I think the comments are very, very exciting. Congratulations. I must also thank Yemi Adamolekun for making this connection. Yemi, I thank you. God bless you. And God bless Nigeria. And our passion for Nigeria will not fail. And the Lord Almighty, who we believe and trust in, will hear our prayers. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, next week, Thursday at this time, the 3rd of June, Making of Nigeria from Jihad to Amalgamation. The gentleman co-authored a book on that subject matter. And it'll be nice to really hear what he has to say so that we understand the background and the colonial issues that really put Nigeria where it is. I must appreciate everyone for being on the platform. I'm truly grateful to you all. I hope we can light a little fire and take the message to as many people as possible. And like Uncle Ephraim said, invite as many people as possible, recruit them to the platform, and at least at the minimum, provide information. And then hopefully start a movement that will totally transform Nigeria. And that is really where we're going, one way or the other, a movement that will awaken the giant and make people realize that Nigeria is worth fighting for. It really is worth fighting for. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a very good evening and a wonderful weekend ahead. And we look forward to seeing you and many more people same time next week. God bless you. Good night.
Pastor.
Thank you, sir.
Gloria,
Thank you so much.
hello, Gloria. You Gloria carry
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Pastor.
God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be in church on Sunday. I'll be in
Thank
church
you.
on Sunday.
Thank you very much. Donald Glasgow, thank you. Thank you. Gloria, you did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. Mala Grace, thank you. Auntie Nike, God bless you. Great to see you.
Hello.
Auntie Funke, God bless you also. Great to see you. Auntie Ronke Fetuga, God bless you. Alabafa Ole, always a great thing to see.
Another successful outing.
Thank you, Auntie. Greet my uncle for me.
Well done.
Jovita Desmond, thank you. Kende, thank you.
I will be in church on Sunday.
He was, he was serious.
I said
church.
I was surprised.
Surprise me and let God forgive your sins. Deborah, thank you.
Yes, Pastor, it's a privilege. Never seen you, but glad to be part of this platform.
Thank you.
Very privileged, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah. Good to see you. Vincent, oh, you came on. God bless you, Vinco. God bless you. Dayo Fagbero, God bless you. Tokumbo Toyo, thank you.
God bless you too. God bless you.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Dada, thank you for that question. Jovita, thank you. Deaconess Adigun, thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you too, Pastor.
Auntie Funke, let me look after my great prince. So God bless you. Charles.
Pastor, well done. Who gave
you
I say make you see the behavior. God bless you, sir. Wonderful.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Great madam for me and my children.
I will.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great. Tunde Adelakun, God bless you. Thank you so much. Mrs. Uduomo.